So, what's with these odor control products that simply just cover up the smell? You spray them on the odor, and a few minutes later, the odor is back with a vengeance. The problem is that most products on the market simply use a fragrance just to mask the smell. Now, Innovative Formulations has developed the latest in odor control technologies. Innovative Formulations Nip It in the Bud odor control is formulated with odor-absorbent polymers that encapsulate the odors directly at the source. So, when you're dealing with heavy odors like garbage, smoke, mold, mildew, etc., don't just mask the odors. Nip them in the bud with Innovative Formulations' latest polymeric odor absorbents, now available in a variety of fresh fragrances.
Now there won't be room for any mistakes out there. One mistake is one too many. And you'll each be on your own. There'll be no mollycoddling. That badge means something. Don't any of you disgrace it.
I won't, sir.
Did you have permission to talk?
No, sir.
What's your badge number?
3.
All right, 3. Watch it. Now listen, men, and listen good. There's liable to be trouble out there today. We're liable to have folks among us who are here for more than just a good time, if you know what I mean. Now, the minute it looks like there's gonna be trouble, we got to nip it. Nip it in the bud. You get it? Let's hear it. Nip it.
I say this calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. You got to nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. You got to nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. You got to nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. You got to nip it in the bud. Nip it. Nip it. Nip it, nip it, nip this Sprite in the bud. We're talking about it. Nip it, nip it. And I ain't a nip in the bud. We're just discussing this. Nip it, nip this Sprite in the bud.
I got the answer.
Nip it, and I ain't a nip in the bud. All right, then, nip it. So we ought to move in right now. All right, then, nip it.
My name is Fife.
All right, then, nip it. Every one of them is in favor of bud nipping. All right, then, nip it. In the bud.
Am I getting through to you, fellas?
Nip it. Bulb snatcher. Nip it. In the bud. Steckermouth. Nip it. Snoop. Steckermouth. Nip it. In the bud. Steckermouth. Nip it.
F-I-F-E.
Nip it. In the bud. Let me show you what a bullet ought to look like.
I'm Barney Fife, Deputy Sheriff.
This whole thing is psychological. Nip this Sprite in the bud. You shook up. Nip it.
And I ain't a nip in the bud.
We're just discussing this. Nip it. This Sprite in the bud.
I got the answer.
Nip it.
And I ain't a nip in the bud.
All right, then, nip it.
Jaywalking is rampant. I'm going to keep these baby blues wide open.
We got a situation on our hands. It's a real situation.
You think I don't know a conspiracy when I see one?
All right, I'll say it again. I don't like it.
I'm going to show them we're on our toes out here.
Nip it in the bud. You got to nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. You got to nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. You got to nip it in the